Microsoft 365 roadmap and new features releases become crazy complex to the every organization that facing and working on a daily basis with multiple applications across Microsoft 365. In last few weeks, I met multiple scenarios when different configuration of the Microsoft 365 tenant impact me heavily or customers I was working with from the perspective of what is possible or what not. For instance, I was working about the video about Copilot actions, which are quite okay feature, not great but not terrible, maybe foundation for the future, and to get quick response from Microsoft that this feature will be deprecated and move out from target release tenants to be replaced with scheduled prompts in the Microsoft 365 Copilot. At the same time, I had multiple meetings with the customers where I was showing the new great features in the Copilot chat, which they did not see on their tenant. Reasons behind all of these scenarios are different configurations of the Microsoft 365 preferences about how the new features will be rolled out to your tenant, and the situation how Microsoft today delivering the new features. In this video, I will deep dive into how this works, and if you want to help me to fight with YouTube algorithms, leave the comments, like or subscription below. And now I will share with you information about rolling out of the new features by Microsoft to your tenant and how you can handle that. But in the second, I will also invite you to the great Microsoft 365 training I prepared, Copilot Quick Start Workshop. I prepared special 5% discount for support from Copilot MVP me that will inspire you, train you and support you in your journey with working with Copilot. Check the link in the description, get access to Copilot Quick Start Workshop and get 5% discount. So let's get to know how Microsoft rolling out the features to your Microsoft 365 tenant, how it impacting the way how your business works and what you can do about it. So you can see the first article I wrote about it, it was 6 years ago, where we were in the totally different scenario. That time Microsoft were rolling packages of the features every 3 months for the environment. It was very well organized. You can predict when some specific features were landing or in what specific period of time. But today we are in the totally different scenario from the perspective of how the standard and target release options impacting your environment. I will get to that point later on, but I want to focus on this specific diagram that shows how Microsoft developing, testing and rolling out the new functionalities, new features, new capabilities to your Microsoft 365 applications. I already mentioned target and standard release. These are the points in time where your tenant could get this feature present, but before that point in time, first of all, specific product team working on this feature, developing this functionality, testing it, then expanding the team that working using this feature to the Microsoft 365 team, then Microsoft as an organization, which is quite huge, testing and working with this feature in the first phase of rollout, and after that this feature could be delivered to the global organizations that bought Microsoft 365. So you can see first of all what we should notice here. These features are developed and tested in the wide range of the users in the Microsoft, then are pushed to the global organizations. In few examples, so first of all, the feature could be delivered as a public preview or private preview. In both stages, both of that features are not yet fully tested. They are still under the development. The feedback from the business users are gathered. And then we getting to the point in time where functionality get global availability, general availability status, and is pushed to the Microsoft 365 tenants of the customers in 2 phases. We had target release, so instant or almost instant delivery of the feature to the specific tenants, and then standard release. If you have that kind of configuration, your features are delayed. And this is the model that is present since the very beginning. So 6 years ago when I was writing this article, it was working very similar way, but there is one difference when you compare that time with the way how it works today. If you will open Microsoft 365 roadmap, you will find there all the features that Microsoft developing, rolling out and delivering to the business users across globe. And you can see how many of that features are during development, how many of them are rolling out, and how many of them are already launched for the Microsoft 365 tenants, and how many of them are grouped in the specific products, specific features, specific capabilities. And the challenge that you can see today is very easy visible when you compare how the roadmap and the rolling plan of the new features differs between specific applications in the Microsoft 365 portfolio. For instance, if you will take a look on the Microsoft Outlook application, specifically the new modern application, it has very clear documented rolling plan for new features and capabilities that will be delivered to the business users. It is very well documented, and feature by feature will be rolled out to the new business users, to the new organizations in the Microsoft 365. Again, this is a very simple scenario because we're rolling out the new version of the application and we're expanding its capabilities in very planned ahead model. On the other hand, we have Copilot. So for instance, Copilot actions that become available for the target release tenants, and then almost immediately we get the notifications after the feedback from the business users that this feature will be deprecated and replaced with the scheduled prompts, which was developed in a similar time. And I think the main difference when you compare how many different functionalities and features are across Microsoft 365 Copilot, it's super complex project. We have multiple applications, different plans, different timelines. The pressure to deliver as much as possible new features for Copilot makes that the rollouts very quick, maybe not that impactful from the functionality perspective, but we get a lot of small rollouts that happening in the meantime. So you can see we have two scenarios, one which is very well planned, organized, and second one which depends of how people will interact with the new functionalities, how the new features will be adopted by the business users, and the strategy that changing dynamically also on the Microsoft side. And we are far from the scenario that every 3 months we get the new functionalities to Microsoft 365. Frankly, every week we get the new functionalities. Every day we get the new features and changes for the Microsoft 365 environment. So how to track that scenario? First of all, of course, you can track using Microsoft 365 roadmap. You can see all the features that are presented here. You have the clear information where specific functionality will be rolled out, but you need to remember it is some kind of general information based on your location, based on your tenant. This feature will be available sooner or later. For instance, many times US, UK and Australia are the first regions that getting the features from Microsoft, and for instance Europe have to wait like 2-3 weeks, sometimes month plus to get specific feature available. On the other hand, you get access also to the message center in the Microsoft 365 admin center, where you get a lot of information, not only about status of your services, but also changes, renaming, rebranding, new features, new functionalities, and the level of how it will impact your environment. For instance, if you will get the new feature that heavily impact our environment, we can easily sort it out, that kind of changes. And again, you can see almost 200 highly impacting functionalities in the message center. This is super tricky to keep with number of changes that happening in the environment. So what I can recommend you, check the description of the video. I will put there links to all the materials that you can find here, but also the newsletter I'm preparing and sharing the most impactful changes that you should be aware of. You will find a weekly summary of such information, but again, this will be some information that I highlighting to you. You can see number of the changes are totally huge at the moment, and in the area of, we can see, few weeks rather than months. So that's impactful for you if you're working with the Microsoft 365. And we're getting to your configuration of Microsoft 365. So how you want to release the new features that Microsoft rolling out to your Microsoft 365 tenant. If you will go to settings, organization settings, and then release preferences, you will have possibility to select between 3 options that will impact the way how fast the new features that are tested already by Microsoft will be landing on your tenant. I'm using target release for everyone in my tenant, but you can also use standard release preferences, so the functionalities will be rolled out but will be delayed for like 2-3 months before you will get access to these features. You can also select between target for everyone and target for selected users. The second option was dedicated for the cases where you want to have change management approach, to test the features, to prepare documentation, to prepare your business user for the new functionalities that will come. Same approach with the target release on the test or dev tenant where you can test it. But realistically, from my perspective, we are at the point in time that is totally impossible to stay up to date with all informations, all changes, all updates that are rolled out to your Microsoft 365 tenant. Moreover, not only new features are impacting the way how you work, but also changes inside the features. So Microsoft could rebrand, rename the functionalities, change the way how they work, change the impact or priority on them. And today, I don't see much value to still use standard release approach for the new functionalities. You can delay the new functionalities, but still, do you have really change management team that will prepare your help desk, your business, or your champions for the new releases? I don't see that scenarios, to be fair, on the customer side. In the end, you ending up many times with the older technology just because of your configuration of your Microsoft 365 tenant. Think about it. Check the configuration in the Microsoft 365 Admin Center. You have 2 options that you can select. Standard release, so you will deliver additional delay before the features will be rolled out to your business user, and target release, as fast as possible approach for the business features that will be available and roll out to your tenant. And again, you should assume that some features will be deprecated. It's not very common, but it's happening. Some features will change. Check these functionalities. I highly recommend you to make a proper decision. Today, I highly recommend for everyone to use target release. I hope that this video will help you to prepare better for the new rollouts, new releases of the features that Microsoft preparing for us. Take into consideration how your tenant should be configured in the area of the new functionalities that will land in your Microsoft 365, and keep in mind that realistically, day by day new functionalities are rolled out by Microsoft to your Microsoft 365 tenant. If you want to stay in touch and up to date, I highly recommend you to follow me in the newsletter I'm preparing every week about changes around Microsoft 365. This will not address this issue, but for sure it will help you to gather the most important informations and be better prepared for what the future will bring for us. Thank you very much for your time. Thank you very much for watching of this video, and see you in the next one.